So let's get started because we have lots to share. We do, though we do have 2 minutes, and while we are waiting for more people to join in, um, if I if I ask a question, why is application security important? Surendra Kumar, thank you so much for sharing. You are from Mumbai Cooperative Bank Limited. Lovely to have you here today. Thank you for giving your time to us. Right. So if I say, why is application security important? I think most of you will say, Vandana, are you naive or naive? Okay. Is that even a question to ask? Right. Because so many applications are being built, available on various networks, connected to the cloud, thereby increasing vulnerabilities to security threats and breaches, right? So Robert Mueller, he's FBI director, way back in 2012, he said, there are only two types of companies, those that have been hacked, the ones that will be, right? And I hope you're not one of that organization, right? So security in IT is like locking your home or car, right? It doesn't stop the bad guys, but if it's good enough, they may move on to find an easier target, right? So people in this room, right, who decided to show up today, attend today's session, I'm sure you don't want to be an easier target, right? So cybersecurity is a subject that requires logic, knowledge, thought, and commitment, right? How many of you agree? If you agree, type in the chat box agree, or just give a thumbs up, or just write an A, agree, right? Mayank agrees, Akshita agrees, Archana agrees, Venkat agrees, Anirban, Shubhangi, Mahadevan, Jayesh, Anirban, Anand, all of you agree. Prachi, lovely, superb, right? So the key to cybersecurity is staying ahead. I read a quote which said, staying one step ahead. Well, I disagree. It means not just one step. You have to be ahead few steps, maybe 10 steps, maybe 100 steps ahead of the hackers, right? And the best way to protect our digital data is to stay informed, be aware of the latest cybersecurity trends, and equip ourselves with right tools, third-party solutions as experts, and stay safe, right? So Meteonic Innovation is taking one such initiative today in partnership with Odesix, right? Where we would want you to be always few steps ahead of the hackers, right? So thank you so much for joining in today and your interest to learn from us, because you could have been doing many things, but you decided to show up here today. Give your time to us, and I promise we will make the most of your time, and you will go back with powerful insights that you can apply right away in your organizations, right? So on that note, I would like to introduce the speaker for today, Ayush. Ayush is the founder and director of Odesix, world-class SaaS. Digital teams use Odesix digital software testing services and application security products to ship their apps and APIs with zero known vulnerabilities and zero bugs. Right. So Ayush started in the heady world of management consulting with Ernst and Young, DC strategy in health insurance strategy with Australian health insurance giants before diving headfast into his entrepreneurial journey. So his ability to break down complex problems into easily understood next steps has turned him into an authority for software leaders looking to take ownership of security and testing, right? So Ayush's uber practical solutions empower software professionals in scale-ups and enterprises to confidently navigate the security and functional challenges of modern software industry. Well, he's not all about work, right? He's a mad sports fan, and you can regularly spot him at cricket and football stadia around the world particularly where India is playing. So congratulations to all Indians today, being proud Indians, right? So for the Chandrayaan, successful completion of the Chandrayaan mission, right? He's also an avid photographer with thousands of followers on Instagram. He's also a keen traveler, and he will not miss an opportunity to find great food, to the point that when they book their holidays, Ayush and his wife make their restaurant reservations first, often even before they book their hotels. Isn't that amazing? Right? He has two kids, they are young right now, and one of his favorite pastime is taking them to big sporting events and playing cricket and football when they are back from school and on weekends. And in a nutshell, this why am I sharing all this with you? Right? Because this is what exactly Ayush, Vandana, and Ankur wants for their clients, right? So I and Ankur are co-founders of Meteonic Innovations, and while uh, we are 17 years into business as entrepreneurs. And before that, while working for TCS, Nortel Networks, Lucent, Motorola, Ankur and I, we have spent sleepless nights firefighting issues, right, for many years. Right? And this took toll on our health. We were not able to give time to our children. We were just simply slogging, working to prove something. And we realized that there, after the solution, that it was easier to solve, right? It could have been done in a better way with right tools in hand, right? There was no need to firefight. So when we decided to start our entrepreneurship journey, we wanted to empower the software community with right tools, right solutions. So you don't have to uh, spend most of your time firefighting issues. You can have some time for yourself, take care of your health, give time to your family. So we have partnered with best DevSecOps solutions across the world so that you can leverage these external third-party expertise to simplify your work, right? And that's how we resonated with Ayush, who is the founder and director of Audesix, because we share similar mission and vision, and that's why we have Ayush here, right? So we also want you to have the freedom to enjoy what you love doing instead of being bogged down by software delivery challenges that are actually easy to solve. So if you want to have application security that takes less space in your head, if you do want the ability to elevate your application security without the need to hire external experts, if you too want the freedom to enjoy your life without worrying about whether you have done enough, if you want all of this or just even some of this to start with, then you are right. Then, ladies and gentlemen, you are in the right room, right? So before I hand over to Ayush, I'll quickly like to run a poll to understand what exactly are your challenges right now when it comes to application security. So I'm launching the poll. So yeah, I hope you can see the poll. Not yet? All right. So what are your top 3 application security challenges at present? Are you struggling with inherited vulnerabilities or finding qualified experts, finding fixes for the vulnerabilities? Or is it a lack of centralized management tool? Or it is something else that we have not listed here? And if we have not listed it here, do share in the chat box if your challenge is different than the one listed here at present. Right. Thank you so much for your active participation. I see many people are responding. We have got 40% response so far, 42% responses, 44. Keep going, keep coming in, keep coming in. Beautiful. Right. So I'd also like to welcome all those who have joined in a little later. Right. Can we have some more participation? Yep, lovely. We have crossed 60%. The result is very interesting. So while you are still answering, I would wait for some more seconds before I end the poll. May I have some more participation? Lovely. Thank you so much, guys. And those who have joined in a little later can share in the chat box which city are you from and which organization are you representing today. And if your challenge is not the ones listed here, please do share in the chat box if you're struggling with something else, because we have an expert here today who can address your struggle, your challenges, and answer some of the questions that are bothering you at present. Right. All right, I'm going to end the poll now and going to share the results with you. So the number one in the list is lack of centralized management tool. 69% people present in this room are facing this challenge. Finding fixes for the vulnerabilities is 64%, and inherited vulnerabilities 56%, and then finding qualified experts, right? So thank you so much for your participation. You can have a quick glimpse at the poll results, and I'm just going to stop that, and I'm going to hand over to our speaker for the day, Ayush. Thank you so much, Ayush, for your time and sharing your insights with our audience. Audience, do make the most of today's session. Don't let him go. We have 60 to 90 minutes, depend on how many questions you're asking. So do ask your questions in the Q&A box. So we make sure that we answer it for you. And there will be a quiz at the end. So with some amazing goodies to be won. So be there, make the most of today's session. Over to you, Ayush.
Thank you, Vandana. That was an amazing introduction, and I appreciate every word that you said. These poll results are interesting, right? You've got lack of centralized management tool as number one, which is understandable. But then the second and third results, finding fixes for vulnerabilities and inherited vulnerabilities, are really tied in, aren't they? And I'll come back to how those can be fixed or solved in a bit. Let me share my screen with you, and so that you can get have a look at what I'm actually going to do with you tonight. Now, before I share any slides with you, before I share any information or knowledge with you, as Vandana said, please put all your questions in the comments. No question is out of order, and I'll try and get to as many, or if not all of them, tonight. But first, let me tell you why I'm here. So a few years ago, I had a realization. We were doing a lot of application security services work for our clients. Some of our clients were doing manual pen tests maybe once a year, twice a year. Some were doing it once a quarter. And our pen tests are incredibly detailed, right? I don't know of many people who do it to that level when we're doing services to that depth. But there was one particular customer, and I was looking through the last 4 or 5 of their pen tests, and I realized something. The same vulnerabilities were coming back over and over. This is what you mean by inherited vulnerabilities, or you're struggling to find fixes, right? There were some new ones in every test report, but a lot of them just kept reoccurring. So I said, let me go back to the previous to pen test reports of other clients. And when I did that, I was shocked, because this situation was consistent from pretty much every single client to client. Now, as Vandana and Ankur alluded to, or Vandana and Ankur do, we pride ourselves in the work that we do. It comes back to our honor and integrity. And in security, what else do you have apart from honor and integrity, right? So my first thought when I looked at this was, what are we doing wrong that the clients are facing the same vulnerabilities over and over? What is my team doing to cause the situation? But the deeper I dug, what I actually found was that this was not really the fault of testing, but this was the consequence. This phenomenon was the consequence of modern software development workflows. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, on any given day, your teams are shipping new features, they're shipping hot fixes, and this is sometimes happening multiple times in a day, right? So if I do a pen test for you and I give you the report, industry averages say that you're going to take 3 months to fix all those vulnerabilities, right? Our clients range to, it could be anywhere from 3 weeks to 5 months, let's say. Now, in that time, while you're fixing those vulnerabilities, you could have shipped new code into your production environment anywhere from 20 to 150 times. that means there are 20 to 150 occasions where your team could have introduced new vulnerabilities or reintroduced older vulnerabilities, your inherited vulnerabilities, right? So by the time you come back to me and say, Ayush, please do a retest for me, those results are almost invalid, right? If you're doing no other security work along the way, then you're literally wasting your money by just getting a pen test done once a year or twice a year. And the solution to this was obvious. You do more security work. If you do more security work, you have less inherited vulnerabilities, and you have a much better report. But how do you do that? When I had to look at the tools that our pen testers are using for their work, they weren't user-friendly. There was no way I was going to give them to my development team to use because each of those tools needed expertise, they needed training, they needed experience. And unfortunately, most of them cannot be seamlessly integrated into an SDLC, right? Now, if I wasn't prepared to give these tools to my devs, then there was no way that my clients would be doing that. There was no way my clients would be subjecting their developers to those tools either. And it was at that point that we decided to build CyberChief. Because what we wanted to do was to give software teams the power to find and fix their own security issues without always having to rely on security experts, right? And finding and fixing both together were important. You could always do find or you could always do fix, but doing both together was the important part of this. And when you put this into a system, when you automate this process as part of your SDLC, that's what we mean by security built in and not bolted on, right? So let me share with you what bolt-on security looks like. And this situation might be familiar to you, but essentially you have a number of sprints, or you have a number of different releases throughout the year. And then every 12 months or so, you might decide to get a pen test done, right? Or some sort of VAPT exercise. What that results in is a lot of bad outcomes. So firstly, you have a number of missed releases because your team is busy fixing or patching vulnerabilities, right? And if they are busy patching vulnerabilities, then obviously your developer productivity is nosediving, which means you're losing money hand over fist. Your management's not happy with you. Your customers are not happy with you because they're not getting new features. And it's just a never-ending unhappy cycle. It's one of the reasons why a lot of people, in fact, just keep putting off security because they're like, it's just too much effort. I can't deal with it right now. Okay. But let me show you something else. From a security posture point of view, what does this look like? Now, in these top three graphs here, the red, the yellow, and the green, what you're looking at is the vulnerability trajectory for high, medium, and low risk vulnerabilities. Now, when you do bolt-on security, which means you do security at any given point in time, which I just showed you, you've got graphs which at worst are going upwards, or at best, they're staying flat, right? And if they're going upwards or staying flat, you're literally chasing your tail. Your teams are frazzled because whatever they're fixing keeps coming back. Your feature backlog keeps growing, and your management's on your back because you're not releasing new features fast enough, right? It's not a happy situation for anyone. But the fact is that you're on this call today because you're an eagle. You're not a crow. You want to go forward. You want to make this something that you can put your name to. You want to do something to ideally solve this problem in your organization. And the clients that we work with, the eagles that we work with, this is how they do it, right? They do smaller amounts of security work every release, maybe even every day, so that when they come to a larger security exercise like a manual pen test, they take a much smaller amount of time to fix the vulnerabilities, and they can get back to their normal schedule, their normal feature release schedule. Okay. This structure that you're looking at is what we mean by security built in. You do more security work, smaller chunks of it, you spend less time overall, and you have more likelihood of your new releases being delivered on time. Okay. What this requires is to put your security on autopilot. Now, what do I mean by autopilot? So let's go back to CyberChief. And when you put your web app security on autopilot with CyberChief, what you do is you go to client admin, you simply enter the URL of one of your applications or all of your applications over here. You give it a name that makes sense to you, right? You might have 10 or 20 applications that you're testing in CyberChief, or you might have different environments of the one application, right? So you might have prod, staging, testing, right? You can add all of them to CyberChief. Once you've saved it here like this, literally within a couple of minutes, you're ready to run unauthenticated vulnerability scans on your application. It literally takes a couple of minutes to get started, no more. But I was talking about putting your application security on autopilot, right? So the way to put it on autopilot is one of two ways. You can either call or launch these scans on your application from your CI/CD pipelines, if you have those set up, or your DevOps pipelines. Or most commonly, what we see our clients doing is running scans on a schedule. So let's say your developers go home for the night, you run a scan at 2 a.m. every morning, they come back the next day, they have an itemized risk prioritized list of anything that they might need to fix. They can fix that quickly and move on with the rest of their day. It really can be that simple. And just remember, everything I'm telling you today is what we do in our team and what we help our clients do in their teams. So it's all doable. Okay. I'm going to stop here. I'll pause here for a bit. Any questions so far?
So if you have questions and you would like to speak, kindly raise your hand and we can give you the unmute permissions. Is there anyone who has a question? Simply raise your hand. All right. If not, then we can proceed ahead.
Let's do it. Okay. So there's an interesting fact about vulnerabilities and where they come from, right? So 93% of your vulnerabilities comes from your custom code.
Ayush, we have a question in the Q&A box from Venkata Krishna.
Yeah.
Is this tool an open source?
No, it's a proprietary tool. Great question. It's a proprietary tool. And I'll take you through more of it in just a bit. But the interesting thing about vulnerabilities is that if you're only doing black box VAPT or black box vulnerability assessments, you're missing out on about 90% of your vulnerabilities. All right. And that's because most of your vulnerabilities sit behind your login. So what we do in CyberChief in order to make that process really simple is we have a feature called codeless authentication. Now, there's no scripting involved. There's no recording involved. You simply enter some URL details. You enter your username and password for your test account, some XPaths or CSS ID tags here, save it. And at this point, just by doing these 4 or 5 things, CyberChief is now ready to scan behind your application login. Okay. Now, we call this everything I showed you before about running scans from your CI/CD pipelines, running scans on a schedule. It's all possible, even if you want to run these authenticator scans or gray box scans. We call them infiltration scans, right? You can do infiltration scans from any place that you like. It's really that simple. Now, you obviously have the support of our team when you need it, if you need it, but the beauty of this tool is that you're in charge. You dictate what happens and when it happens, right? Now, if I go back to the next problem that we often hear about, it's really around, well, okay, I have these inherited vulnerabilities, or I have vulnerabilities that my developers need to fix, but they spend a lot of time fixing them. They spend a lot of hours on Google trying to find the right fix, right? And that hurts, obviously hurts my productivity. But I struggle to get the support that I need, right? And unfortunately, security experts are really hard to find. They're expensive, but they're really hard to find. And unfortunately, a lot of security experts don't also understand software development. Now, the only way around this is through automation. The only way you're going to solve these problems is by automating your application security, putting it on autopilot. But let me clarify something. Am I saying that you should never do a manual pen test or never talk to an external security consultant ever again? That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is, if you do as much as you can in-house within your own team, when it comes to your quarterly or 6-monthly manual VAPT, because you've done a lot of the initial foundational work, your pen testers can spend a lot more time trying to find those critical vulnerabilities, those really hard to find vulnerabilities. And they have a lot more time to find those vulnerabilities that the automation tools cannot find for you, right? And that is how you maximize the benefit from both your tools that you have in place, like CyberChief, and also any external VAPT vendors that you have. All right. So what does that mean when you go to how does CyberChief actually help you increase developer productivity? How does it actually help you find or fix those vulnerabilities that have been found in your application? Now, every time you run a scan, what happens is all the results get populated in this Kanban board. Okay, you have different stages here, and if you're using Jira or something similar, GitLab, you'll be familiar to these Kanban board structures. You have a very simple traffic light system. So red is for high risk, right? I talked about knowing what to fix on priority. So I should ideally be fixing these issues within 48 hours. Medium risk issues should be fixed within a sprint, and low risk issues you can leave for a bit longer. But let's go into an issue, right? This is a high risk issue. It's around cross-site scripting. When I go into an issue, I can see where it's occurring in my application. I can understand what the vulnerability is all about. And when it comes to the resolution, CyberChief is giving you the resolutions in most components of a modern tech stack. And it's also giving you code snippets along with every vulnerability. All right. Now, I hope what you're seeing here is, instead of your developers spending hours and hours on Google trying to find a fix, it's right here, straight in front of them. They don't need to go anywhere else. All right. And sometimes, though, you might come across a vulnerability that is a little bit complex. Even with the fix that we give you, your developers might struggle with it. So we actually have a support system in the comments on the right-hand side here, where your developers can not only collaborate with themselves within your own teams, but they can actually ask us questions, ask our security experts questions to help them fix these vulnerabilities. And this is where the on-the-job training comes in, right? We call it on-the-job coaching. So when your developer has a problem, they put in a question, our security experts can answer that for them with little fuss as quickly as possible.
Ayush, we have a question.
Yeah.
Is it possible to configure digital signature as a two-factor authentication?
In certain situations, yes. So if we go back to the codeless authentication setup, what you'll see here is under the advanced configuration, or sorry, the advanced configuration options, is that there are different fields that you can fill out in order to make sure that any two-factor authentication or MFA code that you have can also be included. And it depends. It really needs a case-by-case analysis, but in certain situations, yes, it is possible.
Right. So I think Naveen Goyal wants to ask something. Please go ahead, Naveen.
Yeah, okay, thanks. So my question is related to the scripts or the vulnerabilities that this tool is going to find. So as you mentioned that we have to configure URLs and authentication stuff. So there would be chances that this tool might be hitting to those URLs and trying to do some attacks as well, like SQL injection or maybe scripting. So there would be chances that the server that has been given or the configured for the testing may get stopped or kind of blocked as well, right? Because of the attacks.
Yeah, it's a good question, Naveen. I think in the thousands of applications that we are testing, I believe that's happened to one application in that time.
Okay, so that would be
so theoretically it's possible, but it's a very unlikely occurrence. CyberChief in the back end, right, has a number of ways of regulating how often it hits your servers in order to get, to make sure there's as minimal performance impact as possible. But even if there is a performance impact, you just simply increase the size of your VM and then you're ready to go.
Okay, thank you. And can I ask the second question as well?
Sure.
Okay, so how much it differ from Acunetics tool?
Yeah, great question. Are you using Acunetics at the moment?
Yes.
Okay. And what are you doing with Acunetics at the moment? What sort of scans are you running?
Yeah, actually, I'm not doing that directly. My team is doing it, but generally to find out the three major categories of vulnerabilities with respect to web URLs.
Okay. Okay. The big, yeah. Okay. Thank you for that, Naveen. And great question, by the way. The big difference is that Acunetics can only do, and I was going to come to this piece. In fact, that was my next slide. But Acunetics can only do dynamic application scanning and little bits of API security scanning. Okay. I'm not sure if your team is actually doing authenticated scans with Acunetics or not, but setting up authenticated scans with CyberChief is literally a three-step or four-step exercise. All right. Secondly, in addition to the authenticated scans and the ability to run CSPM scans as well, you also in CyberChief you also have end-to-end API security. What I mean by this is that you can install a small agent in your application which will catalog all your APIs, generate the open API specs for them, and then scan them automatically as well without you having to lift a finger.
Okay, great.
Right. In addition to this, I think the feedback from most of our users who have also used Acunetics is that the vulnerability resolutions, which I showed you before, are a lot more detailed and up to date than they've seen in any other tool.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
So
and yes.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Naveen.
I thought I can complete my whole question, whatever I have. So I would like to know whether we have that on-premise option as well for this tool, or it would be only cloud-based.
It's only cloud-based, Naveen. And the reason for this is simple. Our value prop is for those companies, those teams who have adopted the cloud and are moving their workloads to the cloud, right? And that's where the application scanning, that's where the API scanning, and that's also where the cloud security posture management module becomes increasingly relevant.
Yeah, you're right. But in our case, means we have most of the applications that resides in a kind of a limited environment, specifically for banks and credit unions. So they don't want to kind of expose their applications outside into outside world. They have within their LAN system kind of thing. Although they are doing it for the security purpose, but still there could be vulnerabilities that needs to be found out. So that's why I was looking for an environment, if that is feasible, to have it only for that particular on-premise or maybe limited environment.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. If that is your situation, if that's your reality, then there are definitely ways of accessing those applications which are, residing behind a firewall, right, within a private network.
Mhm.
The other option is you simply create a pre-production environment on your cloud network, and that's only for scanning and testing purposes. And you get to fully maximize the use of CyberChief for very little cost. So there are a number of options of getting that around. Schedule a demo with your Meteonic rep, sales rep, and then we can discuss all the options in a lot more detail.
Okay, thank you. Yeah,
Right.
that's all from
So,
my side. Yeah.
right. So we do have some more questions in the Q&A box, Ayush. Venkata Krishna Reddy wants to know how to test GraphQL vulnerabilities and how to test functional or processing vulnerabilities.
Sure. So GraphQL vulnerabilities are part of our Bolt API scans. And so you simply go to, if you don't want to do the end-to-end vulnerability cataloging, right, you simply go to this screen, select GraphQL, upload your details here, or you can upload a config file, and CyberChief will scan your GraphQL APIs for you. Sorry, what was the second part of that question, Vandana?
How to test functional or processing vulnerabilities.
How to test functional or processing vulnerabilities. I'm not sure I understand that question.
Right.
Maybe,
so,
Naveen, if you can, sorry.
So I have Venkat, why don't you speak and let us know? Yep. I think you're able to unmute your mic. So yeah, go ahead. I don't think we can hear you. Venkat, we are not able to hear you. All right, I'll do that. I can, Akshita, or 1 second. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, are you able to hear my voice?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
In my case, actually, we have the centralized system. So that is the connected to the different clients. Like we have the GraphQL API is the centralized system. It's connected to the different client applications like web apps as well as mobile apps, as well as other HRM systems. In that case, actually, the processed vulnerabilities like authentication issue. So, for example, I want to transfer the data based on the authentication to the based on their requirement. Actually, we are sharing the data. So, in that case, actually, any thing processed issues so unauthorized data transfer to this system to the that system like that. So I want to identify at the stage of in the staging.
Okay, I think I understand your question. So you're saying if you have some APIs which are authorized to work with particular applications, how do I make sure that they can't be accessed by different applications?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, cool. So when it comes to dynamic scanning, sorry, let me ask you one more question before that.
Yeah.
Have you used any API security or API scanning tools on your application, on your APIs?
No, as of no, just BAP tool we are using.
Sure.
But it's in, open.
Sure. Okay, so a great question, by the way. So the situation you're describing, Venkat, is basically a symptom of a different problem. Okay, and so what CyberChief does is it tries to find the foundational problem. So it will literally run hundreds of scans on your GraphQL APIs to see how they can be manipulated, how that data can be shared or transferred or used elsewhere in order to do something that should not be able to be done. Okay, so while it won't come to you and say, "Oh, I use this, the output of this data in this application," what it will say is, "I use these credentials to access your application or to access your API, and I got a result which I really shouldn't have got."
Okay, can we write functional things in this tool? Like, so for example, I am defining the some queries or some mutation. In that mutations, I want to pass these parameters only need to pass, or these data need to get the API. So can we write any manual things in this?
For functional testing, we have a different tool. It's called QSIM, right?
Okay.
And what the scenario you're describing is more relevant for our functional test automation tool, which is QSIM.
Yeah.
Right. But again, I encourage you to have a chat to your Meteonic rep. We can definitely have a more detailed chat with you and show you what's possible in both CyberChief or QSIM. And then you can decide whether that's what you're trying to do.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. So we do have some more questions in the Q&A box.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Right. So Shreyas wants to know, how is this tool different from Burp Suits, ActiveScan, IBM AppScan, etc.?
Sure. And the answer to that is very similar to my answer to Akinetics. AppScan is almost a legacy tool now. It was good for when it was made, but the updates have not really kept up to pace with especially modern software or modern applications. Especially when you talk about things like API-based applications or single-page applications. Some of those other tools really struggle, or even doing authenticator scans, right? Try doing an authenticator scan with AppScan or some of those other popular tools on your application and see if you can set that up yourself. If you can, good luck to you. If you can't, come back to us, go to your Meteonic sales rep, and we'll show you how you can do that in CyberChief within a few minutes, right? With regard to Burp Suite is a great tool. Burp Suite, however, is a tool that takes a lot of experience, a lot of training to understand. And if you have teams in-house who have capacity and who have the skills and who have the experience of using a tool like Burp Suite, then it might be a good tool for you. But if you have if you don't have a lot of security experts or security expertise in terms of capacity in your organization, then you will really struggle with Burp Suite because you're going to have to hire someone just to run that tool for you. The beauty of something like CyberChief is that because it puts things on autopilot, it doesn't need someone sitting in front of a tool, clicking a button or configuring scans or uploading plugins in order to give you results, right? You get a standardized set of baseline results every time you run a scan, and that happens, everything else happens for you behind the scenes automatically.
Right. So Ayush, we have 4 more questions, and thank you so much for being such a participating audience, guys, because we are
Great. This is great. Great questions, by the way.
Right. So we are not here to just deliver what we prepared. We are here to help you address some of your questions, doubts, clarifications. So thank you so much for asking these wonderful questions. Venkateshwar Rao is asking, how about the licensing part? Is it open source or having any community versions available? How does it take care of cloud CSPM, cloud security posture management?
Great question, and thank you for getting me back on track. So it's a subscription-based tool. We do have a POC option available. Again, make a time with your Meteonic sales rep, and we can set you up on a POC if that is going to be of help to you. To answer your CSPM question, let me take you to that now. In order to run a CSPM scan, you simply, again, go to the launch test page. Excuse me. This is a demo AWS account which is set up at the moment. You can scan for different regions. You can scan for different frameworks. You can scan for different services, right? The good thing with our Raiders CSPM module is that we don't restrict you to a number of assets or a number of services, right? We simply say to you, give us your account number, and we will scan everything in that account number within that account for you. Once the scan is run, what you see are, again, similar to what I showed you with web scanning, you see your vulnerability trajectory. You can understand how long your vulnerabilities are open for, how your findings are going, where your vulnerabilities are coming from in terms of different regions that you might have configured in your account. And then for roughly 20 or 22 different compliance frameworks, you can see how your organization, how well your organization is complying with those frameworks, right? So many of you might be familiar with the AWS well-architected framework, or you might have PCI compliance, or you might have GDPR compliance. If you're in fintech or BFSI and you need to comply with the RBI cybersecurity framework, then you can also run those tests as well. ISO 27001, SOC 2, they're all there, right? So I can, let's say I'm in fintech, I want to see, excuse me. Let's say I'm in fintech, I want to see my compliance or what I need to fix to comply with the RBI guidelines. I simply click on this icon, and again, I'm taken to a Kanban board where I can see a filtered list of vulnerabilities which are relevant only to the RBI framework that I need to fix. Okay, so I hope you're getting the sense that the way you run a web scan or an API scan or a CSPM scan is pretty much exactly the same. You learn something once, you can use it across the board.
Right. I think Shreyas wants to speak. Shreyas, go ahead.
Hey, hi. So actually, I'm having two questions. So my first question is, can we modify this tool as per our requirement? And the second one is, can we run this tool with our CI/CD pipelines?
Yes, absolutely, Shreyas. CI/CD pipelines, you can absolutely call the APIs to initiate launch scans for either Radar, Bolt, or web scanning. Sorry, you're saying something?
No, go ahead. Please go ahead.
Yeah, cool. And can you help me clarify what you mean by modify the scans?
So modify as in like some of the requirements, authentication, authorization, like that. If I don't want to scan something from your tool.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So there are different options, right? So you can, you can configure the port scanning here. You can exclude certain URLs that you don't want to scan here. If you don't want to run authenticator scans, if you just want to run black box scans, you can simply change the mode to reconnaissance or attack, and it won't scan behind your login. So there's lots of configuration options.
Okay, understood.
Right. So we do have 5 more questions in the Q&A box. Ayush, can I go ahead and ask those questions?
Yeah, go for it.
So we have an anonymous attendee, and he has 2 questions. Is there any benefit of using the tool on SaaS services that my organization uses? Example, D365 Business Central. We customize the solution, expose custom APIs right from within the platform.
That is a brilliant question. So anonymous attendee, thank you for asking this. And the short answer is yes. Whether it be D365, whether it be Epicor Kinetic, whether it be SAP Fiori, even your Oracle Fusion Suite, anything that is run via APIs or run as a web application can be scanned by this tool, right? And the next consideration is it makes sense to scan those sort of services if you've configured them or somehow customized them for your organization's needs. So if you have those services, they're either API-based or web-based, and you've customized them, then you must scan them, and CyberChief can definitely help with that.
Right. He also has one more question. Would you have to bind each tool via a web API to their update management to automate this?
Would you have to bind each tool via a web API to the update management to automate this? Not necessarily, right? If I understand this question correctly,
may we know who is this person, so we can give you unmute permissions and you can elaborate more on the question, because I'm not able to find you in the participants list.
Yeah. So while we do this, if I understand this question correctly, you can actually do scanning separately from your updates, right? In fact, for services like this, Dynamics 365, SAP Fiori, all these services, I would say that you should separate your security rather than have it all dynamically done, because these tools are huge, right? These services, these platforms are huge. And you might come across a lot of vulnerabilities in a lot of places, but what you want to send to your development team is only those high risk and medium risk ones, which are really critical to fix. So that's why I reckon you should separate the scanning, the finding vulnerabilities, to the management of them, and you should not link them together, at least initially.
So Prachi, would you like to speak? Okay, so Vanpreet Sandhu is saying this was his question, but I have a lot of background noise, so he can't unmute. All right, but I hope we have answered your question, Vanpreet. We
Sure.
understood it correctly and answered it. If not, do clarify. You can write in the. All right, lovely. That's great, right? So Prachi's question is, how do we generate report, and is there any chances of false positive in the report?
Yeah, great question. So your report is, if I go to, sorry, give me 1 second. I'll go back to Altura Mutual. Your report, there's two types of reports you can generate. So you can generate a summary report, which includes, this dashboard. You can download it as a PDF simply by clicking this icon. You can also download a more detailed report of all your vulnerabilities. Sorry, let me go back to issues. So everything that's contained within this Kanban board, including everything that is given here within these for each vulnerability. Again, you can download the report as a PDF or a CSV by clicking this icon. And the next question was, sorry, just remind me, Vandana, false positives. Great question again. So here at the top, if you see these 4 columns in this Kanban board, you've got triage and backlog in particular, right? So when a scan is run, we have algorithms in the background which classify the confidence level with each vulnerability. Where the tool is confident that the vulnerability exists and it's real, we put it in the backlog. The vulnerability ends up in the backlog column, okay? But where the tool is not so confident that about the vulnerability, or the vulnerability requires your team to do a bit more investigation, then those vulnerabilities end up in the triage column. All right, and that's how we signal to you, look, we're very confident about this. You can go off and fix this. Everything in this column will need a little bit more investigation from you.
Okay, so we have one question from Kunjan Shah. Which all security standards will be covered for embedded applications like IEC 62351, NE, RRC, CIS, etc.?
Yeah, good question. So you've got a number of different standards covered, and there's about 22 of them. And I'll start coughing a lot if I go through all of them, but a lot of the compliance frameworks are given here. If you have embedded applications are slightly different in the way they work. So I'd encourage you to make a time with your Meteonic sales rep so that we can understand your situation better and give you a more direct answer based on your unique needs.
Right. Thank you for that. Ayush, Kunjan, you can get in touch with us and we can schedule a specific demo for you and get your queries specifically answered for you. Right. So next question is from Kalyan. Is this tool to identify common security issues in the Salesforce cloud environment?
Again, similar to my answer for Dynamics 365 or
Ayush, have some water. Maybe you can just take a minute off and have some water.
Yeah. In short, yes. Right. So absolutely. If you have Lightning applications which are configured or customized or custom built for your organization, then this tool can be used to scan those.
All right. Kalyan, have we answered it for you, or do you want to elaborate more on it, on your question? In the meantime, Naveen Goyal has a question. Does WebScan also include accessibility testing?
Unfortunately not, no. Accessibility testing is possible with our QSIM tool, and this is only for security.
So I think we are done with all the questions. Thank you so much for asking questions. The purpose was to help you get clarifications. So we can go ahead with the session, Ayush. Are there any more questions? Please type in the Q&A box. If not, we can proceed with the session. All right, Krishna Jha is raising his hand. Let us hear from him. Just give me a moment. Right. Go ahead and unmute yourself. So. Can you, Krishna Jha, can you hear me? You can unmute yourself and speak. Not able to hear you. Krishna, are you there? We're not able to hear you. You may just want to type your question in the chat box or the Q&A box. Right. Ayush, I think he's not able to unmute. We can go ahead with the session.
Sure, no worries. Look, I think what I wanted to cover in terms of the CSPM and the API security side of things, we've done that in quite some detail. I'm just conscious of it. About 6 minutes left in the planned session. I'm happy to go over if people have more questions. There's one thought that I wanted to leave you with. When we talk to people about, why do you want a tool like this? The most common answers that we get are, look, I want to find and fix my vulnerabilities. I want to, put security into my SDLC so that it's done as part of my software development efforts. I want to upskill my team, my development team, so that they can find and fix their own vulnerabilities. And these are obviously great goals to have, right? And that's probably why you're all here on this webinar in the first place. When we ask that question to our clients or our users after a few weeks after they start using CyberChief, we ask them, so what difference has it actually made to your setup, to your teams? I was really surprised by the results that we got back when we started asking this question. And what they said to us is, look, yeah, we're absolutely patching vulnerabilities faster. We're absolutely doing more security work with our existing development team, which means we're catching vulnerabilities earlier. But the biggest difference that this is making is it's giving us the freedom to make our own decisions around security. It's given us the autonomy to do the security work on the days that we want to do and at the times of day that we want to do security, right? And what they loved most was having the ability to do security without feeling like they were being bullied by customers or vendors or other security experts. And if you think about it, this revelation makes complete sense, right? This freedom that our clients communicated to us is the same type of freedom that keeps us wanting to work from home, for example, right? It's the same freedom that that allows us to fit, important non-work life events into our workday because we're able to work from home, isn't it? And so the question I want to leave you with is really simple. When are you going to decide to grab your application security freedom? Put it in the comments if you already have the answer. At this point, Vandana, I'm ready to take any questions. Any comments?
Right. So maybe you want to repeat the question that you asked the audience. We don't have any more questions in the Q&A box, but if anyone wants to ask a question, please go ahead. Otherwise, if you would like to request a demo with your team or would like to right away get into POC mode, then do fill in this. I've shared the link in the chat box. Please go ahead and fill that. form so that we can give priority to the people who have attended today's session, right? So we all of us do understand that as businesses are increasingly adopting cloud computing services, there is a growing need for CSPM due to several reasons, right? It could be complexity of the multi-cloud environment or shared responsibility model, misconfigurations, visibility, compliance requirements, automated remediation, right? So there are many reasons why you would like to get right solutions that can empower you to do your work well, right? And handle security proactively, right? So most of the time in the DevOps environment, I think security does take a backseat because of the frequent code development and deployment sprints, right? So, and as we also see that web application scanning is very crucial for proactively identifying and addressing security vulnerabilities in web apps. It helps your organization protect sensitive data, prevent breaches, meet compliances, and maintain your reputation in an increasingly digital world, right? So even API scanning is crucial for identifying vulnerabilities, design flaws, misconfigurations in the API that underpin modern applications, right? So by proactively addressing all these issues, you can enhance the security of your application, protect sensitive data, and maintain the trust of your users and customers, right? So as we see, CSM is very important for maintaining a strong security posture in cloud environments. It helps organization identify, assess, and address security risks, ensuring that your cloud deployments are both secure and compliant, right? So do leverage CSPM tools and practices, and you can enhance the overall security and reduce the likelihood of data breaches or security incidents, right? So as you see, Ayush's ethos drives him to encourage his teams to make their two solutions they have, Cyberchief and QSum, even smarter, simpler to understand, and more user friendly, so that his clients can claw their time and spend it on other areas of life that need your attention, like bigger work problems or being there for your children's school plays or your anniversaries and birthdays, or simply taking a breath and enjoying some me time, right? So let's see what is it that you will be doing in the next 6 months to address this aspect, the challenges that you're facing with respect to application security. So I have yet another poll, which I'm going to launch right away. Yeah. So let's see what is the action you are going to take in the next 6 months to address your security challenges, right? Would you build an in-house application security team? Or would you find a way of quickly understanding application securities, find a way to quickly understand application security status, enhance and discover new security skills for your team, find and fix vulnerabilities before a new release, right? Or all of the above. And so let's hear it from our audience. What will be your course of action? What will be your action plan for the next 6 months, right? It's all about staying ahead. So yeah, we have some more participation? Right, lovely. We have about 60% people have participated in the poll, so it will be great if some more if you can increase it to 70%, right? All right, few more seconds and then I'm going to be ending the poll. Thank you so much once again for your active participation today and sharing your challenges, sharing your questions. All right, so I'm going to be ending the poll in 3, 2, 1, and that's it. So let's see what is it that you will be doing. Most of you have answered that you will do all of the ones that is listed here. And 23% are saying find and fix vulnerabilities before a new release, and enhance and discover new security skills for your team. And 7% are saying that build an in-house application security team, right? So I think that's all. Before we wind off, but do you have any questions? We have one questions and we'll quickly have a quiz. So be there. Prakhyat Jaiswal is asking, what types of report does the tool provide?
Yeah, great question. So I think I covered the CSV and PDF reports earlier, but the one thing that the tool provides is whether you're looking at CSPM, whether you're looking at Vault API scans, or even just your web app scanning, the beauty of the tool is that you can get a very quick glance or very quick understanding of your security posture, right? So at the top here, we have a 7-star system. Now, the best SaaS companies are usually around 5 or 6 stars in terms of, it's your grade. Instead of an ABC, we have seven stars. And then in addition to this, you've got a breakdown of your OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities, which OWASP top 10 categories they fit into, where your vulnerabilities are coming from, how long it's taking your team to fix vulnerabilities, who the security champions are in your team. And when you want to dig a little bit deeper, you can also get a sense of where in your application most of the vulnerabilities are coming from, so that you can devise some strategies to implement in those parts of your application or in those parts of your teams to make sure that you can reduce that density of vulnerabilities, right? So reporting is a very personal thing. Obviously, you have your PDF reports, which you can share with people, but then you have your deep dive reports, which allow you to think beyond just, okay, X number of vulnerabilities, but where is my team going and how are we improving our vulnerability trajectory to go downwards? All right, so Prakhyat, I hope that answers your question.
Okay. Any more questions for Ayush today? All right. Yes, Vanpreet, we'll be sharing the recording with you. But tomorrow you should get it on your email ID as well as WhatsApp. If you've already received messages from us on WhatsApp, do share our official number so that the links that you get are clickable. Right. So thank you so much, Ayush. Let's move on to the quiz. So please, once you get the link for the quiz, I think it gives you some dummy names. So I would recommend you to rename it appropriately, because it also gives the winners at the end, the top 3 winners. So if you don't name yourself, we don't know who the winners are, right? So the gift goes to my home. Okay, not to yours. All right. So I would love to have you get your names correctly in the quiz. So are you set for the quiz? Give me a good thumbs up or yes in the chat box. Why? How many of you are ready for the quiz? Shubhangi is ready. Superb. All right, I'm getting thumbs up. Lovely. So that's the link to the quiz. I'm going to share my screen. Right. Let's see. Okay. One second. Let me see what happened here. Okay, let me go and try that. I'll put that link here and see. All right. Okay. So play now. There is a pin. You can scan the QR code. Right. And then I'm going to, please rename yourself. I'm going to be starting the game. Are you able to join this? Are you able to join the quiz, guys? Right. Lovely. Let's wait for the people to join in. Kindly rename yourself, because if you don't rename yourself, I wouldn't know who the winners are. Right. Just have to sign in. Right. Okay.
Quiz.com. play and create.
What does Cyber Chief Raider do?
Repost the URL. Here's the URL.
Security posture management. Why choose Cyber Chief for automated vulnerability testing? All listed here. What are elements of application security covered by Cyber Chief?
This is a multiple choice question. This is a multiple choice question. Please note.
Cloud security posture management, web app scanning, API scanning. Cyber Chief integrates with Jira and Slack. Yes.
Final question. Double points.
Static testing and dynamic testing are both important for ensuring that the software meets the required quality standards. True.
Third place, Vamala. Second place, Deb. And the winner is Anna.
Right. So winners, please do. Thank you so much for participating in the poll. Sorry, in the quiz. And winners, Anup, Vimla, and Dev. Congratulations. Some team Meteonic will be in touch with you to share the goodies with you. Vimla, you were leading all the while on the last question. You got a little delayed. So never mind, you're still a winner. Thank you so much, team, for your time today. So I read a very nice quote. A cybersecurity expert called Neil Reru said that true cybersecurity is about preparing for what's next and not what was last. I leave you on that note, and I'll see you in the next webinar from Meteonic that will empower you to take powerful insights from experts and apply it into your organization and be a performer. So I hope we have added value in your life today. If this was a good session for you, would love to hear your feedback or appreciation in the chat box. And if we did not answer anything for you and you would like us to improve or would like us to cover something else which you came for, do let us know and we'll try to organize a session specifically for that. So we'd love to hear how was the session for you in the chat box. If it was a good session, give a thumbs up or share in the chat box. And if you have a feedback for us, do let us know. So I do see some thumbs up coming up. Shubhang is saying super one. All right. So we have, I see lots of thumbs up coming our way. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for being such a participative audience once again. All right. Anup is saying I can't complain because I came first. Well, you feedback is not always about complaint. It can be about appreciation as well. So thank you so much, guys. You have a great evening. Thank you, Ayush, for taking out time. Even though you were unwell, you did not cancel this session. You continued to be there for us and shared what you could today, answering all the questions spontaneously and impromptly. So thank you so much, Ayush and team Aude6 here and all the participants here. This was a wonderful evening with you. Take care, guys. Bye-bye. Ayush, you want to add something before we wind off?
No, just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity. And if you've got any other questions, please get in touch with the Meteonic team. Happy to have a chat to you offline as well. Thanks all, folks. Appreciate your time.
Lovely. Ayush, you were wonderful. Kalyan says, great session. Archana is saying, superb session. Thanks, Vandana, Ayush. Anup is saying, well done, Vandana. All right, I'm going to pat my back. Akshita is saying it was a insightful session. Thank you. Lovely. Thank you so much, guys. And we look forward to serving you again and again with powerful insights that truly matter for your growth and success. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.